Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm your co-host, Kevin, K-Daddy from Dirty South, the ATL, Hotlanta, Georgia. I'm a post-production master, filmmaker, and horror nerd.
Hey guys, this is your co-host Ashley, Gorilla Girl filmmaker, lunar goddess, and cinephile.
And I'm your co-host, John Thomas, ghost hunter, super smartass, and film lover extraordinaire.
In today's episode, we'll be talking to you about ley lines. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Cinematic, captivating, terrifying, and intense. Trap 2021 will return live May 21st through the 23rd. New categories, new prizes, and still no entry fee. Visit trapfilmfestival.com for more information.
Welcome back, my meta friends. Today, do we have a topic for you? Ley lines. Do they exist? What do they feel like? Where do they even come from?
Bum, bum, bum!
Thank you, Kevin.
What exactly are ley lines, though?
I've
heard of them, I've read about them, I don't really...
still don't understand them.
I still don't understand them. I believe that they exist, but I just don't understand them.
Well, I mean, you've got the Ghostbusters, right? Like the one with all the females. It was based all on the ley lines. Is like, what was it? Charge the ley line, break the veil, Armageddon, or something like that. Just something. So it's just like this concept of these lines that exist on the earth that connect like various landmarks. But for me, it's like the chicken or the egg. Did they build these big landmarks on these vortexes because they were drawn to this, because when all these ley lines come together and cross, it's like it creates a vortex, right? According to research. So there's these ideas that the ley lines attach different historical structures and landmarks, like Stonehenge. Stonehenge is supposed to be said to stand on like a vortex. My question is, like, let's say they're real. What came first? Was it they're drawn to the vortex, they build a big monument landmark around it to harness it? Or the ley lines connecting these strong land points, like they say, in these patterns, and then energy flows? I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's a good question. I'm not even sure. I'm stumped. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it's, thinking about, I know this is a topic for a different episode, but like with folklore, everything stems from some form of truth. So whether the truth be something super meta, super traditional science, I feel like there's a sense of truth that came from the ley lines that people could have been drawn to that made them be appealed to these one area or these specific areas to build these altars on, and because it made them feel a certain way or whatnot, and
or like to harness it.
Yeah, and I feel like it goes deeper than that. Like I do believe in the meta aspect of the ley lines. I think there's another layer of it that we just don't understand that attracts us on a biological level as well.
Isn't everything meta or magic until science proves it, though? To some extent, there's things that occur like a plane flying, right? It's like the aerodynamics, the science explains why that's possible. But if someone from the past came in... time jumped, it's like, what is this sorcery up in the air? So it's just like... science, I think, just hasn't maybe caught up to the ley lines. So who was it? Alfred Watkins.
Yes.
He mapped all of these landmarks and realized they all follow lines. Like they're all on these straight lines. They're points on a line. And they go all over the world. Obviously, there's some kind of pattern. He's been able to create a map with geometric patterns and straight lines that intersect. And I think the most interesting part is that where these lines intersect is where you find these. Now the question is that coincidence? If there's all these important landmarks and you draw a bunch of straight lines out from them, you're gonna hit another one, right? I mean, I would assume. I don't know. It's interesting because who even thought of that? We know who mapped it, but how does that even pop into your head?
And the fact that he even did this in 1921, I mean, way back yeah, I mean, who's to say there's not more that we don't even know about now? Who's actually mapping it now? Who's doing all that stuff?
I wonder if it's not. I'm just going to make a comparison to like our bodies. Like, we have all of these nerves and these like basically there's a spider web of nerves in our bodies that go from our heart, from our brain to the the ends of our fingertips and whatnot, and like it's all connected. So I wonder if the ley lines are in essence like the nerve endings within the earth that kind of spider and more or less connect to each other.
And like the vortexes where all the ley lines kind of converge in specific like hot spots.
Like a chakra.
Yeah, they're like chakras. Look at you speaking my language. They're like the chakra, the nerve centers. I mean, I like that. That's an interesting thought. I'm with you because with the nerves, like a lot of energy is communicated, real science energy to our brain, relaying, proprioceptive things like where you are in space and time with your body. So you kind of have a sense of stability and balance, but also conveying things like emotions and pain and all these things. So it's interesting that you put it that way because maybe they are the nerve centers of the earth, like reaching out. But to what end? What's the purpose? Because nerve endings keep us alive, right? Like nerves keep us safe. They activate like our parasympathetic, our sympathetic nerve system and stuff like nervous systems. So what would the ley lines benefit if they were like the earth's nerve centers?
Yeah, good. That's a good question.
That's deep.
We're getting science over here. I love it. Talk nerdy to me.
It's a little too deep for my small brain there.
The earth will sometimes naturally create a forest fire to get rid of the dead brush so it can start new and start fresh and start again. I wonder if there's more of a symbiosis to the earth that we don't really know yet. And these ley lines or these nerve endings of these chakras or vortexes, however you want to call it, I wonder if that plays into that symbiosis that we may not understand. And I'm not a scientist, so I mean, somebody might have a better understanding how the world interacts with itself.
Well, and I know there's, theories out there that they are also connected to like magnetic lines within the earth now, whether that, I don't think there's been any actual scientific evidence done on that in terms of ley lines, but it would be interesting too if there's like a magnetic field, because we have like those are real tangible things on the earth, not that we can see, but that can be measured. It would be interesting to see if the ley lines are connected to the magnetic fields within the earth itself in some way, whether they are the magnetic fields, but I feel like someone would have already landed on that if that was the case, or part of that symbiosis in some way. You guys don't know, but we actually went out to Sedona back in mid-September, and it was to see if we could experience the ley lines. I mean, in the US, Sedona is known as being one of the hottest spots for ley lines. So we decided to take a musketeer bonding trip. We haven't seen each other in 3 years up until that point, and go hunt out some ley lines, see what we felt. But first,
Bum, bum, bum.
let's actually just talk about even the ley lines in Sedona, right? Because looking at the ley line maps, I mean, Sedona is the hottest one in the US. I mean, what did they say? You can feel the energy of the ley lines up to 20 miles radius outside of Sedona. That's pretty big. And I think they even guided us on, because we did our research ahead of time, and that they recommended if you're going in for the ley lines, as you drive in, to try and be as clear as possible, like in terms of your emotions and your mental state, because apparently in Sedona, whatever you enter as is going to be magnified by 10 times. So if you're happy, you're going to be super, super happy. Or if you're sad, you're going to be extremely sad, and so forth. So we tried to be as neutral. I tried. I don't know. I did. What did you guys do? Because I tried to be neutral when we drove in.
I went in hungry and wanted to be more hungry.
You went in hungry and got more hungry.
Yes. No. Yeah, I agree with Kevin. I was definitely hungry. I mean, I flew in that morning that we went. As we drove in, it was a shift, especially from driving in from Phoenix. I was excited to see you guys. Was excited to be there. I was excited to do this whole thing. And as soon as we hit Sedona, it was almost amplified anyway, and just it felt like kind of like electricity running through. It was just a weird feeling. It was good. So my excitement definitely went peak level, once we hit there. So
You could say it might have plateaued.
Oh
Ba-dum,
Lord.
bum.
Womp womp.
Bad joke.
That's what they're called, right? Or did I just make a total ass out of
No,
myself?
it's a plateau.
Okay,
We're
good.
not going to explain Kevin's jokes.
I think technically they were mesas. But
That's the word.
Yeah, but plateau sounded better because who's going to mesa? Like, what's that?
it was beautiful though. I will say the drive-in was absolutely beautiful. Seeing the cactus on the like ridges and seeing just the red rock emerge and eventually tower over, like that red rock byway throughout Sedona was gorgeous.
Oh, it was so red. It was amazing.
It was beautiful. I want to go back there.
Yes. Extended trip next time.
So Sedona has just an enormous amount of vortexes listed. They even have like a vortex map on their websites. And so we picked 3 because they have their vortexes categorized by energy type. So magnetic, which is supposed to be a feminine energy, electrical, which is supposed to be like a masculine yang energy, and then balanced, which is supposed to be neutral. So, that kind of speaks for itself. So the first one we hit up was the Chapel of the Holy Cross, which is supposed to be a balanced vortex. And this is cool because it's actually like an actual chapel built into the side of that rock. Gorgeous. And that's supposed to help for like clarity and gain a higher vision in life. So I find it interesting for being a neutral vortex site that a church was built there. People go to, typically to church for clarity and like a balancing of whatever end of the spectrum you may be on, whether it be looking for some kind of absolution or lifting up or whatever. So it's just interesting. Like to me, I feel like there's something there.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah. Like there's a reason someone built that there. What did you guys feel when you went?
So when we got to the Church of the Holy Cross, obviously I was tired from the travel and from the drive. I definitely was kind of in my own zone. I got lightheaded walking up the hill to the chapel. I'm not sure why. It was maybe lack of water, altitude. I don't know.
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. Other than that, I really didn't feel much there. Like when I went into the chapel, I sat on the little bench on the side and kind of took a moment for myself, and it was calming, but I didn't really feel much in terms of the energy itself.
That's kind of weird. Just because, and not calling you out or like not doing anything, but when you came out, you looked like you were crying, like your eyes were pink, like red. It was. I don't know.
My head was throbbing.
You were shaking.
Yeah, you were definitely.
Like you were seriously shaking.
Yeah.
See, and when I went up, like to I actually went inside of the chapel and went up to because I was curious, is there a specific space that feels different? Because when we were walking up the trail, I really didn't feel anything. And when we walked up to the chapel, it's still like, it felt serene, but I still didn't feel much. But when I walked inside of the chapel, the lady said that I could go as far as the ropes up at the front of the church, which is like basically at the foot of that big crucifixion statue. I went up to the furthest pew and sat down, and holy moly, like that, I did feel. It felt like clean energy. Like just, it wasn't like a zing. I don't know how to explain that. It wasn't electrifying and it wasn't calming, but it just felt like a very clean breath of energy, and it felt lovely, I'll be honest. And so I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. And I was just soaking it in. And then I was curious, is it because is it like a placebo thing? Is it the statue? What is it? So I actually went down to the basement where there's a gift shop, and I was roaming around the gift shop and seeing like where, is there any kind of difference? And again, it felt neutral. The further I was away from like the actual like front where those ropes were, the more it was like, I don't feel much. But then when I got to the front of the chapel, like in the basement where the front would be facing out towards overlooking like the valley and stuff, I could feel that energy. So some like there was a hot spot, if you will, for me that I felt towards like that front of the building, the front interface where the big windows overlook the valley. And so that was interesting. And then when we left, again, I didn't feel it much outside of the chapel. I really didn't feel much, but I definitely felt, I think you guys remember that, like my head was buzzing.
Yeah.
Like, it was buzzing hard, like just soaking in all of that. I felt like this is the weirdest thing to describe it. But if you've ever gotten peppermint on your fingers and then like placed it near your eyes, like on accident, just like that eucalyptus peppermint up near your eyes, just
Yeah.
that's what it felt like. Like my eyes felt just energized and my head felt like it was super tingling. And it was just, oh, it was the weirdest feeling, but I loved
Right.
it.
I think Kevin pointed out, like when we were just putting our hands above your head, like it felt hot and you could feel it.
It was like
just
pulsating.
yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Like when you hit your finger and you feel the, like your heartbeat in your finger or something. That's kind of what it was. It was so weird. Like you said, Ashley, like going up, I didn't really feel too much. Like I don't know, maybe I was expecting to feel something as we drove up. But then I kind of left that after we got out of the car and started walking up. I noticed that Kevin was kind of slacking behind, and he explained why that was. But as soon as we got closer to the church, I started feeling, I don't know, more energized. It's weird. I don't even know how to describe it. But I was tired earlier because of the car ride, and then we got up there, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm awake. Like I just had a bunch of caffeine, and I didn't go all the way inside because there was too many people, but it did give me that just energetic, like happy, let's go, let's do all this stuff feeling. I was ready to go and do whatever we needed to do. Yeah, it's just one of the best feelings I've had in a while.
Yeah, I loved it. I actually want to go back and just spend like an hour there, just soak it in. Although, if the amount of time we spent there, that had that impact on me, like my head was
man.
hot and buzzing, and I can imagine what I would feel like after. Would I balance out? Like, would I stabilize out after a while, or would it just like increase and increase and increase? Like, is my head gonna explode?
Right. Oh man.
And why my head? Like, why nothing else? Just my head.
I don't know.
I came out with my head ready to explode and on fire. No, I actually felt good. So I don't know what that was, but that actually felt good. I just think I was radiating a lot of energy.
Ashley has the demons.
I've been known to have a few demon boyfriends or two.
Demon baby Damien.
No demon babies.
No demon.
No.
So kind of how you were talking about the Chapel of the Holy Cross, that's how I felt about Cathedral Rock when we first got there. I loved that place. I loved it so much. And as we were walking up, I don't know how to explain it. It felt so welcoming. Like when you go to, do you remember as a kid, you'd go to your grandmother's house and like they'd have like cookies made or food prepped for you, and you walk and you just felt so welcome, like a home. That's how I felt as soon as we started hiking up that mountain. And at one point, I kind of dipped away from you guys, and I dropped my camera, dropped my backpack, and I just went off and I meditated. Like I just sat down, closed my eyes, I put the dirt in my hand, and I just took it all in. I felt like I was able to breathe when I did that. And then when we got all the way up to the saddle, same thing. It felt so relaxing.
And it's funny that you felt that way because the vortex is supposed to be feminine up there, which is, welcoming. It assists you in like the inward activities, meditating, all that good stuff. You felt exactly the way that like they described one would feel up there. I obviously did not get all the way up there.
That's okay.
Which is fine. When we first got there, looking at it, again, gorgeous, beautiful, intimidating for me. Like, holy shit, look, I got to go all the way up. What? No. I got a third of the way up, which is fine. Fine for me. I did beat myself up a little bit about it while I was there waiting for you guys to go up, but I was okay with it. I sat there, I did my own little stuff. I shot a Facebook video. Then I sat there and I was like, I'm just going to take this all in, look at everything around, and, I'm going to try to go up further. I stood up and I started to feel like I was going to black out. Like the energy was really, really strong.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was weird. And I did go up another 50 feet. I sat there for a while, did the same thing, stood up, tried to get ready to go up further. And again, that feeling like I was going to black out. It was just a really strong energy for me for some reason. And once I went back down, because there was a spot kind of in the beginning, basically, where those people were getting married, then I stood there for a while and I looked up at the mountain and everything else, and I was fine. So I think the closer that I got, the stronger it was for me, and I couldn't handle it for some reason, which, who knows if I would have gone all the way up, how I would have experienced all of that. So maybe it was better that I didn't go all the way.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, Ashley, what did you feel up there?
I wasn't sure what to expect when we came to Sedona because for me, I have come to accept that I may sound a little crazy when I say this and whatever. I feel like I'm hypersensitive to fluctuations in energy. And so I wasn't sure, was going to Sedona going to just set all of my energy alarms off and just be overload for me. When we went up to Cathedral Rock, I didn't really feel anything. As we started on the trail, I was fine. It just felt like a beautiful hike, which is it's amazing. That's an amazing gift to be on a beautiful hike. But as we got closer to the base of where the typical trail was, just felt a pull to my right side. And I looked and there was a dirt trail off to the side. And I'm like, well, I'm going to follow it. There's a pull, I'm going to follow. So I did.
Of course.
And and you guys followed me too. And so I went around that trail and there was a spot where like we passed this tree line on this dirt trail and it felt like I had just walked through this very, I'll call it a ghostly curtain. It felt like a wisp of like air that I walked through. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was interesting because it's like when I walked through it, it was like my immediate thought was I just walked through a concentric circle of whatever vortex is going here, which made me kind of wonder, do the vortexes have like circles that kind of go in to the center? It's just a random thought that hit me when I walked through there. And my other thought was, did I just walk through a ley line? But I was like, well, I have to keep going now. And what's interesting is that little dirt trail ended up coming to the base of the rock in a different angle where we were able to get to the top in almost a better, more accessible way than the standard trail, which was just a steep up on like very slick rock. And this side, it was more like switchbacks on these slow grades of the rocks going up. So whatever pulled me, thank you very much. You saved my quads. I appreciate you. And then as we got towards the actual top, there was another like section where it flattened off for a bit after quite a bit of like scrambling up rock where it flattened out. And I know I had to pause there because it felt like I went through another of those circles, if you will. And it was like, ooh, that made me a little dizzy. And so I had to sit down and kind of stabilize out a bit before we continue to the top, which is hilarious because the top was just right there. But it was a bit overload. And I remember Kevin mentioning on the way up that he felt like he was just vibrating the whole time. When we did get to the top that opened up, I did not feel a vortex because they said the top was supposed to be where like the center of the vortex was or whatever, but I didn't feel any change other than what I had already experienced in those like two passings of whatever veils those were, if you will. But it was a very beautiful opening view.
Oh my god, it's gorgeous. Like I even think on when we had stopped for water and cheese for that little break, I vaguely remember saying that it felt like when you're plugging something into an outlet and you accidentally touch the prongs as it makes the connection and you get that little jolt. not that I'm condoning getting electrocuted by any means. That kind of buzzy feeling is literally what was feeling. I don't know if that made sense.
No, it does, but I'm not sure I want to feel shocked. Mini electrocution.
I don't mean it in a painful way. It's not in a bad way. The electrocution thing is not a good example.
It's like a jolt.
But it's like a jolt. It's like a jolt, like that really highly stimulated feeling of like you're just feeling like every wisp of air touching your skin and every hair on your body is moving. Like I just was feeling every single thing.
It sounds like you were on Mo-Ley.
I feel like I was on a Mo-Ley.
That explains a lot.
Hashtag don't do drugs, guys.
Hashtag we're on drugs.
We're on drugs. So I decided to do like a kind of movie meditation on one of the rocks up on the top of the vortex. I really got into it, just feeling the sun on my face and just opening up some of that like breath work and meditation. And I had my eyes closed. I got really lost in it. I took my headphones out because I had kind of used them to block out the noise. And one of the girls was just like, I don't know what you did, but whatever you just did, the energy feels a little clearer. I was like, is that real? Is that a thing? Did I just do something cool? And then part of me wanted to be a smartass and be like, "You're welcome."
Now put your shirt back on.
What? I never took my shirt
No,
off. Oh, you mean Solomon? We met some friends on the trail, and he was very happy to take his shirt off for every photo op. We love you, Solomon. We love you, Cassie.
Yes. Very cool people. Very cool.
Put your shirt back on, Solomon. Damn it. I forgive you.
Oh my God.
All the stories I heard while they were up there. That's all I got to say.
I offered to take a picture of Kevin with this beautiful view behind him. And I told him put his arms up as though he's like victorious and breathing in the air and amazing. And Kevin put his arms out and looked like he was hanging off of a cross. And I'm like, why are you posing like Jesus on the cross? And he's just like, what? And then our new friend Cassie is like, yeah, that's exactly what you look like. So we had to repose Kevin so he didn't look like an offensive rendition of a very popular biblical figure. So you're welcome, Kevin. We had awesome, amazing lunch. If you're ever in Sedona, please go to the Butterfly Burger.
So good.
Delicious drinks, delicious food.
Yes.
Shout out to them. They were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Great service. And then we decided on a full belly, which was maybe not the wisest idea, to go to Bell Rock and hike that to see if we could beat the sun, because it was like 5 o'clock and the sun was going to set at 6:30. See if we could beat the sun all the way up to the top and back down. Although I think initially we're like, we'll just get to the base of the rock and see what we feel. It did not work. We went all the way up.
And then we went up even more.
We had our new friends with us, so we just had to. And, you know, I probably would have gone up without them too, because, I mean, I love you guys, but once I'm there, I'm there.
Wait, we're talking Bell Rock, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Bell Rock.
I mean, y'all did make it up and down before it got dark. I mean, it was starting to get dark, but y'all made it.
We did. We
John
made
didn't
it.
go on that one.
It actually, the climb up didn't take as long as I thought it would. Like it took longer to get up to the base of the rock than it did to actually get up to the top.
It's funny because with Bell Rock, I had almost I had a similar experience as I did Cathedral Rock, but it was almost the complete opposite, where instead of just being so present and taking in everything that I was seeing, I was feeling very like determined and like driven and like, that is what I want. I'm going for that. Like still recognizing the beauty, still seeing the beauty, still acknowledging everything that's around me. But like, it was almost like a refresh of something that I haven't felt in a long time, of just this drive to go and like get up there and just almost conquer what I've been.
Kevin wanted to call his girlfriend. We actually had an ongoing joke with the group on the way up that, you know, this is because this is supposed to be a masculine energy vortex. If you didn't pick up on that, it's supposed to be more assertive and exciting and energy and so forth. And so we were jokingly calling it hashtag Big Dick Rock because we're like, yeah, if it has that kind of energy, it's gonna make everybody feel like they're just cocky and confident. So it was like, this is hashtag Big Dick Rock. Anybody who's sensitive to jokes like that, probably you should not listen to our podcast. But Big Dick Rock, as it was called, was beautiful. We got to see the sun starting to set over because it had a great view of the Red Rock Byway. So you could see all of the vortexes, or not even vortexes, but hikes, all the different mesas kind of spanning out in a panoramic, and the sun setting over that. The colors were amazing. So even if you don't believe in ley lines, my friends, you gotta get out to those hikes. They're extremely worth it. They're beautiful.
And that is a good segue to say, go check out our Instagram and see the pictures from Sedona, because it's fucking gorgeous.
It is. We will be posting pictures of our escapades as we get together. Please always check in with our social media to see what else we've got going on or things we expanded on with photos or maybe even videos. Interviews? What?
What do you look like, Joan Thomas?
I look like George Clooney.
He said I look like George Clooney. My mama says I have a face for radio.
Oh, you poor thing. Bless your heart.
I think that the entire Arizona trip was just an interesting experience from the moment I touched down. Like life
Yes.
was exciting, crazy exciting. It never disappoints. It opened with a boom.
Right. I know for me, it was definitely a trip to remember for, all kinds of reasons. Obviously, seeing you guys for the first time in 3 years, we're all together. It was great. But getting my scaredy cat ass
True.
on an airplane for the first time in 11 years and by myself,
You're
for that
welcome.
matter.
So proud of you.
I thank you. I accomplished a lot.
I'm so proud of you.
Exactly. I know. It's so sad that it took me 42 years, but no.
It happens when it needs to happen. And what better place in Sedona?
And again, it definitely was because of you guys, because I was trying to get on a damn bus. I was trying to get on a train. Screw myself, I did it. Haha. So
I'm
You
proud
know,
of you. Like
I am too.
you were
I
talking
am.
about taking like a 28-hour bus ride, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
baby, no, no. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we got you to get on the plane.
Yeah, I am too. Thank you.
Can we talk about how the place we stayed at was amazing? That was like a happy surprise. John found it.
Oh man. Woo. That was an
The-
accident too.
That
It was like
was-
I was just going through.
Shout out to the Red Agave Resort.
Hashtag not
Beautiful,
sponsored.
beautiful space.
Go.
Not sponsored at all. You should go. Like seriously, they have trails directly connecting up to their grounds. Beautiful red rocks outside your window, and holy cow, it was amazing. Tons of space. Like the three of us stayed in a chalet, and it was just plenty of space, kitchen, like all the stuff, stores nearby.
I got a little bit of pictures of that. Not too many, but I mean, we're all in them. But yeah, it's good. I mean, s'mores. Come on. We had s'mores
Yeah,
Friday
they
night.
give you free s'mores, free kits, and they're like, here, take more and go make s'mores.
Right? I haven't had s'mores in like forever.
So good. Especially after a
Yes.
day of ley lines. So
Yes.
I will say for me, same thing with Bell Rock. I did not feel anything until we got to the top of the rock. And I try not to do too much research, so I'm not left with any kind of like, I'm not starting it with any kind of impression or bias. Yeah, so I try to keep it low, just kind of get an idea. So I saw a picture of where the vortex was supposed to be, and I went towards there. Now, being at the vortex on that rock, again, didn't feel much. And even climbing up on it, I didn't feel much. But someone had built a circle on top of one of the plateaus, like almost like an altar circle. I will say the energy around there did feel different. Now, there was a spot when I was moving away from the vortex to get back down that I felt like I got hit with a lot of energy, and that felt very like assertive, very sharp, very, I'm trying to think of the words for it. It felt very sharp, very thunderous almost. And if I can, I don't know. It's hard to put that. It's hard to put sensations into words, but it felt like thunder, sharp, and heat. And that was pretty cool. It was just a moment, but like a long moment, I will say. But it definitely felt boom.
Was that up kind of near that one?
Near the flat wall.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
two posts of rocks like this, and it kind of went up and over, like around there.
No, that was supposed to be the vortex, the spires.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
So this was around the corner from that, against like a really flat wall.
Yeah.
And that happened around there. And that was like, holy moly. And it made me kind of wonder, like, do vortexes potentially move? Like, as energy flows, or are they like stagnant lines?
That's a good question.
Because the earth shifts, right? And the earth not grows as the planet, but like our actual physical ground as volcanic rock, builds up, like our earth shifts. And so the surface of the earth. So it kind of makes me wonder, do those nerve endings, if you will, expand with it? And so maybe, does it shift? I don't know. Or maybe I'm just full of it.
Just to expand on that, maybe, the traditional equinoxes and everything that was celebrated by like Wiccans and pagan. So maybe based off of the time of year too, that could adjust kind of where.
Oh, by season, yeah.
Yeah, by season and by basically just planetary alignment, like to the sun and what the Earth is naturally feeling and gravitating towards. Like, on our side of the planet, we're starting to get into the fall time, where on the other side is starting to get into like the summer times. And so like, maybe that adjusts.
Well, I think about like the Incans with like their structures. You know, they had certain structures built to channel focus energy, or not energy, but light, sunlight during specific times of the year. And so maybe something similar where during, like you said, during certain times of the year, the energy or light focuses in a different way, and that's when it's able to be felt or captured. I don't know. Now I'm mumbling. Mumble.
But isn't it in the mumbling that we can expand our minds and truly find truth?
Yes.
So, well, now that we've been back home for a while, when you first got back, did you guys feel any different being away from all that energy? And I mean, obviously the vortexes had their own, we all felt different ways, but Sedona had its own energy, I feel. Now that we've been away from Sedona, how do you guys feel? Did anything change? Do you still like the way you felt before, or, what's going on?
I was actually worried about Kevin.
Right. I mean, I
Because
was too.
you felt the most. You on all of the trails felt the most, and consistently the most. Like it stayed a constant feeling for you as you walked the trails. Like I had moments whereas you felt the entire way up. I was worried when you got back, what would that deficit do to you? To no longer have that just flowing through you and impacting you. Like what was that going to do to you? So I'm curious, how did that go?
Oh boy, sit back.
Sit
Ready?
back.
Are you ready to go on a roller coaster ride?
Heck yeah.
Always.
All right. Put your hands up, buckle in, keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. And here we go.
You can't see us, but John and I put our hands up.
Yes.
At the same time. As everyone knows listening, or both of you, I always like there's a level of skepticism that I always take in myself, like a healthy amount of skepticism. I'm just gonna sprinkle that as a small part of the foundation. But I actually feel and still feel different because of the Sedona trip. I don't know how to explain it, but like the minute that I got off the plane back in Atlanta, I felt, even though I was tired, awake. I felt like there's been a part of me that has been drained over the last, I don't even know how many years, and Sedona had recharged that.
So you almost had like a realignment and then a recharge.
Yeah, like it was almost like like a mental chiropractor kind of.
I like that. It's a meta chiropractor.
It's a meta chiropractor. I feel like it was not only a trip to experience ley lines, it was not only a trip for the three of us to get back together, which I'm gonna get cheesy on y'all later, but I also feel like it was such an important personal trip. Because I felt like there was a huge red button that has been just sitting there in my core that I just went up and just smacked. And I was like, all right, time to refocus, refine who you are, rebalance yourself, and seize the day. And I feel like going to Chapel on the Rocks, Cathedral Rock, and going to Bell Rock, I feel like the three of them was almost like a fast supercharge for me to find who I've been needing to recharge. If that makes sense. Like I could probably sound like I'm absolutely crazy, but
No, that makes sense at all. I mean, it really does.
I think it's your truth. It's your truth, and that's all it needs to be, your truth.
Exactly.
and it's the crazy thing is it's still like I still feel awake. Like I've been here for 2 weeks now, and like I still feel just as recharged as I did there and the day I got back.
Right.
That's amazing.
Like no withdrawals at all.
That's
Good.
'cause I totally thought you were going to flip and go the other way and drop into a deep depression and we weren't going
Oh
to
my
see or
God.
hear from you again. And like, yeah, I was like, oh God. But
Well, at least John's honest. Oh God.
but no, when I got home like that night, I was fine. I felt good. Everything was okay. The next day, I mean, I did have to work, and it doesn't really have anything to do with it because whatever. But I started getting agitated and feeling agitated at every little thing, and it bugged me. And I felt that way for a couple days. Ashley, I talked to you about it for a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm done feeling like this. I'm gonna ground myself, and so I did. And I've learned a couple of cool ways to do it. So I used basically all of them to do, and And I feel kind of like Kevin, I feel awake. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do more. Maybe not at his level is where I'm at, but I'm definitely not agitated anymore.
Good.
Yes, yes, yes. The grounding did wonders.
Yeah, you
So
were really agitated. I wonder if you should have done the grounding while you were in Sedona.
probably. Yes, yes. I think the beating myself up a little bit over the Cathedral Rock thing had something to do with it. And I tried not to hold on to that because I was proud of how I got there, what I did. And, even flying on the plane, I was like, yes, that's awesome, whatever. That was a good thing. And I tried to focus on all of that. And I had fun with you guys. I mean, come on. How do we not have fun together? So there were
Right?
lots of good times. And then with
Moscow
the
needs
added,
to be had by everybody. Oh man, when I got back, I did not feel a shift. And I wondered if, because I know I talked to you guys about this in Sedona. I kind of stabilized the energy out pretty quick. And whenever there's like an influx, I don't know if it's just because I practice that a lot of just like grounding, if it's become like almost like a muscle memory, a just automatic muscle reaction to ground out whenever there's an influx of energy so I don't overload. So when I got back, I didn't feel much different in terms of like any kind of super roller coaster fluctuations or a reset, but I will say I did feel heightened energy. So I did feel more alert, more aware and observant of my surroundings. So I don't know if I absorbed more of that yin energy and took it with me or what. I feel more clear, if that makes sense, like a sense of clarity that I've carried with me since Sedona. And I don't know if there was something, I almost feel like when we go to Sedona, or anybody for that matter, do you take with you what you need? So for Kevin, he needed a reset recharge of a lot of things that were out of balance, right? And maybe John, you don't need anything. And so that's maybe why it agitated you, because it was an overload on something you're like, I'm set, I'm good. And maybe I did need some sense of calming clarity and a bit more of an up. And so, because that's what I feel. I feel like my energy is more up. I feel more like a productive energy since I've come back from Sedona. Like I feel before I almost felt like, you ever get that sense of laziness, but it's not born in laziness? Like you're almost like paralyzed. Like I have so much to do. I don't know what to do. And so you just don't do anything. And having like a low motivation, not depression, but just low motivation to really get that oomph to get going. So that's what I felt like before Sedona. When we came back from Sedona, I am like, and I don't know if it's like we're in the season of fall, this is a season of transition and change, and I'm soaking up that like autumn energy, or if Sedona had an impact, but I feel like I am alert. I have more like clarity. I am tackling more in general. Like I'm eating the motherfucking elephant, like chomping bite after bite after bite, and I have got that. So I don't know. But that's what I feel has impacted or changed. Now, whether that's circumstance or impacted by Sedona, I don't know. But I do know that's been a big difference. I feel more alert and more awake.
I'm about to get deep on you.
That's what she said. No, wait. That wasn't what
that's
she
what he said.
said.
Could be what she said.
Depending, I mean,
Depends
there
on
are
your
ways.
relationship.
There are
Okay.
ways.
Go ahead.
So you said that you don't know if the change that you felt was an impact of Sedona itself, or something else, or something that you needed, or whatnot. I correct him if I'm wrong. Like, are you kind of hinting at like you don't know if it was Sedona itself, or like if it was like almost a placebo effect, like where Sedona pushed that change onto you from a different part of you, so not necessarily Sedona.
No, like a re-energetic alignment or an energetic realignment in
Okay.
a way that I needed that
Yeah.
served me. So I needed that up and alertness and like inner energetic real, like I almost felt like I had an energetic blockage before that. And now it's like my energy is free flowing. So I do feel like even my confidence is like I can tackle anything, motherfuckers. And so I feel like I could take over the world. Maybe that's Bell Rock, maybe that's Cathedral Rock, maybe it was a chapel. I don't know, but I do feel a difference in that I do feel I really that I can. That's what it is. I feel like I can. I am capable and I can. And I don't think that was because I hike and do all of that around here. You guys know me.
Mhm.
I'm constantly
Yeah.
hiking, doing yoga, getting into crazy ass adventures. But this was different. May not have been the lines, it may not have been energy, but something shifted.
Isn't that where a true spiritual moment comes from? Like, not necessarily the where or the how, but the why.
Maybe not even why,
Not the why, but the
just is.
just is.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't know if it was any of those places that made me feel awake.
And I guess it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Was it the lines or was it the hiking or was it the friend trip? Maybe none of that matters. It's just the is. It did have an impact. It did change each one of us in some way. Like John, even if the lines agitated you or that energy, you came back and did a whole bunch of grounding out, right? So you're practicing using those muscles, which is something that, or I say meta muscles. And so it's like, it's probably something you should have done in Sedona, but
Yes, definitely.
we didn't even think about that though, because we were
No,
so in
but I
the
felt
moment.
fine there. Yeah, I felt fine there. So
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't even. Yeah.
But even that, maybe it's a way of telling you, hey, you got to practice that more. You got to ground out more. And
Right.
that will serve you better in some way. And, I don't know.
No, sounds absolutely correct.
It's just interesting because when you got back, it wasn't like the further away we got from the trip, it went down. Yours seemed to increase like the
Right.
more days that passed until you did all of that grounding out. So it was almost like you were pushed into that space where you had to do that. Like pay
Right.
attention, pay attention, pay attention, do this until you finally did it. And then it's like, see, wasn't that great?
Exactly.
When we were on top of Cathedral Rock, wasn't the chapel directly across us? Like from one of the spots we were standing, it was like directly across.
It was honestly like if you look at it, it's Cathedral Rock. If you go straight across, you could see
The chapel,
the Chapel of the Rocks,
the Holy
or
Cross. Chapel of the Holy
Chapel of the Holy Cross, and then Bell Rock was actually
down at the corner. It was a triangle.
And to the point of triangles, like I'm not trying to like I don't know, so many things like be it meta, be it like just in engineering to everything. So many things in our world come back to threes and triangles because they are the symbol of balance and support. Like biblically, you have the Holy Trinity. You have like in terms of engineering, like the shape? What's the shape that they use in order to build stable bridges or stable high rises? Triangles. So maybe there's something to that relays into it. And
We'll have a whole podcast on
3Haunted presents triangles.
sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry.
We noticed that it was like I noticed the chapel, and then Kevin realized where Bell Rock was. We were in a triangle, which is interesting because the chapel would be at the apex of the triangle, depending how you looked at it. And then you have the feminine that was on the left and the masculine on the right, if you're facing the chapel. So that was really interesting. Because I believe when it comes to our bodies, the left side of our body represents the feminine, which is the lunar quality, and then I think it's the Ida, and then the right side is the masculine, which is the Pingala, I believe. I'm running off of memory here. Don't kill my pronunciation. And then the center is your balance. My head's been tingling since we started talking about the ley lines for like an hour now, and my face is actually really hot right now. I already sound crazy as fuck. I don't need to sound crazy again.
Right. I started getting like the goosebumps basically too a little bit when we started. So that was kind of like
Yeah,
yeah.
like we're having some reactions to it.
Chest is like
It's interesting.
it feels like the pressure that I was feeling at Cathedral and at
Bellrock.
Bellrock.
It's crazy.
It looks like on the map, it is a triangle, by the way.
Nice.
Like looking at this map, it is a flip-in triangle. It looks like Bellrock is actually closer to the chapel than Cathedral. And it looks like Cathedral and Bellrock are closer together. It's a really weird triangle. It's like
an isosceles where it's like
yeah, and like Cathedral and Bell are at the bottom. That's a triangle though.
That's amazing.
Right?
Especially since those are the 3 that we picked to go to out of the 6. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, right? We picked a triangle out of the 6 to go to. And the fact that that triangle encompasses all
Right.
3. The feminine,
And
the
the balance.
masculine,
Yeah.
the neutral. And the feminine's on the left, the masculine's on the right, or is the balanced one at the top, the apex.
so. I mean, we had a good trip down to Sedona. I feel like we all really had a fantastic time, not only just on the ley lines, but as the 3 Musketeers finally getting back together over 3 years. And I love you guys. I hope you know that.
Oh, we love you too, Kevin.
Yes.
Do you have any last remarks or any last thoughts that you want to touch on with Sedona while we're fresh, while we're talking about it?
Other than wanting to go back, I mean, I'm going to tackle Cathedral Rock one of these days. That's going to be my bitch. I will make it to the
Make it
top.
your bitch.
No, it was a different feeling. Like we've been to different parts of Arizona, me and you, doing other, things that we do, and that sounds weird, but whatever.
I'm not a part of that world, guys. Just
No.
shout out, not a part of whatever naughty stuff they're doing.
Anyway, not naughty, but like the ghost hunting stuff. Like we've been to Jerome, we've been to like the other Cottonwood, all those other little places around. We've never really been to Sedona, so it's definitely a different feel from those places, and it feels good. I want to go back. I want to, definitely enjoy and feel that whole sensation again, basically.
What about you, Ash? Do you have any?
I'd like to say, whatever the reason why we experienced what we experienced and how we felt when we got back, I would highly recommend visiting Sedona, seeing the beautiful nature that it has to offer. Leave no trace for those that are going to be hiking, and just be open to experiences. Like for us, I know we all kind of believe in the meta to some extent, and that doesn't mean we believe in every single thing out there. I'm sure there's going to be things that they believe in that I don't, and vice versa. But be open to the experience that energy is real. We all know scientifically it is, but be open to the idea that it's out there and you can feel it. And that's all I've got.
Kevin?
Regardless of where you fall on the belief spectrum of the meta, Sedona is a magical place, and should be experienced. I feel like it's one place that should be seen at least once in your life. And I personally want to keep going back. Like I want to make that a regular thing.
I'm sensing an annual Musketeer
I'm down.
trip.
Seriously,
tradition.
I'm down.
That'd be awesome. I would be amazing. And to just touch on what you were saying, Ash, is like just be open. Like embrace what the universe is telling you. Sit back, listen, and don't get hung up on the whys.
It's okay to ask why. It's okay to have healthy skepticism and do your research and not be gullible and believing everything out there. But don't get so hung up that you talk yourself out of things that are present and potentially real.
Stay in the moment for sure.
Thank you all so much for tuning into 300 Podcast today and talking about these ley lines. Like the trips to Sedona was just amazing. And thank you again so much for your support and tuning in. I'm your host, Kevin.
I'm John Thomas.
And I'm Ashley.
Well, goals, gals, meta pals, thank you for tuning in today. Any questions or episode suggestions? Send us an email to 3hauntedpodcast@gmail.com. Remember, follow our social media for exclusive behind-the-scenes photos, videos, and content about all things 3Haunted. Hit that follow button. We'll see you next time.